Namaste. Today we will take up Canto 12 of Book 2. It's called The Heavens of the Ideal. And it's a fairly short canto, so I will try and read it all. The heavens of the ideal. Always the ideal beckoned from afar, awakened by the touch of the unseen, deserting the boundary of things achieved, aspired the strong discoverer, tireless thought, revealing at each step a luminous world. It left known summits for the unknown peaks. Impassioned, it sought the lone, unrealized truth. It longed for the light that knows not death and birth. Each stage of the soul's remote ascent was built into a constant heaven, felt always here. At each pace of the journey marvelous, a new degree of wonder and of bliss, a new rung formed in being's mighty stair. A great wide step, trembling with jeweled fire, as if a burning spirit quivered there, upholding with his flame the immortal hope, as if a radiant God had given his soul that he might feel the tread of pilgrim feet mounting in haste to the Eternal's house. At either end of each effulgent stair, the heavens of the ideal mind were seen. In a blue vacancy, a blue lucency of dreaming space, like strips of brilliant sky clinging to the moon. On one side glimmered hue on floating hue, in a glory and surprise of the seized soul, and a tremulous rapture of the heart's insight, and the spontaneous bliss that beauty gives. The lovely kingdoms of the deathless rose. Above the spirit cased in mortal sense are superconscious realms of heavenly peace. Below, the inconscient's sullen, dim abyss. Between, behind our life, the deathless rose. Across the covered air the Spirit breathes, a body of the cosmic beauty and joy, unseen, unguessed by the blind, suffering world. Climbing from nature's deep, surrendered heart, it blooms forever at the feet of God, fed by life's sacrificial mysteries. Here, too, its bud is born in human breasts. Then, by a touch, a presence, or a voice, the world is turned into a temple ground, and all discloses the unknown beloved. In an outburst of heavenly joy and ease, life yields to the divinity within and gives the rapture offering of its all. And the soul opens to felicity. A bliss is felt that never can wholly cease. A sudden mystery of secret grace flowers, goldening our earth of red desire. All the high gods who hid their visages from the soiled, passionate ritual of our hopes reveal their names and their undying powers. A fiery stillness wakes the slumbering cells, a passion of the flesh becoming spirit, and marvelously is fulfilled at last the miracle for which our life was made. A flame in a white, voiceless cupola is seen, and faces of immortal light, the radiant limbs that know not birth and death, the breasts that suckle the firstborn of the sun, the wings that crowd thought's ardent silences, the eyes that look into spiritual space. Our hidden centers of celestial force open like flowers to a heavenly atmosphere. Mind pauses, thrilled with the supernal ray, and even the transient body then can feel ideal love and flawless happiness, and laughter of the heart's sweetness and delight, freed from the rude and tragic hold of time. And beauty and the rhythmic feet of the hours. This, in high realms, touches immortal kind. What here is in the bud has blossomed there. There is the secrecy of the house of flame, the blaze of God-like thought and golden bliss, the rapt idealism of heavenly sense. There are the wonderful voices, the sun laugh, a gurgling eddy in rivers of God's joy, and the mysteried vineyards of the gold moon wine. All the fire and sweetness of which hardly here a brilliant shadow visits mortal life. Although are witnessed there the joys of time, pressed on the bosom the immortal's touch is felt, heard are the flutings of the infinite. Here upon earth are early awakenings, moments that tremble in an air divine, and groan upon the yearning of her soil. Time's sunflowers gaze at gold eternity. There are the imperishable beatitudes. A million lotuses swaying on one stem, world after colored and ecstatic world climbs towards some far unseen epiphany. On the other side of the eternal stairs, the mighty kingdoms of the deathless flame aspired to reach the being's absolute. Out of the sorrow and darkness of the world, out of the depths where life and thought are tombed, lonely mounts up to heaven the deathless flame. In a veiled nature's hallowed secrecies, it burns forever on the altar mind. Its priests, the souls of dedicated gods. Humanity, its house of sacrifice. Once kindled, never can its flamings cease. A fire along the mystic paths of earth, it rises through the mortal's hemisphere, till, borne by runners of the day and dusk, it enters the occult eternal light and clambers whitening to the invisible throne. Its worlds are steps of an ascending force, a dream of giant contours, titan lines, homes of unfallen and illumined might, heavens of unchanging good, pure and unborn, heights of the grandeur of truth's ageless ray, as in a symbol sky, they start to view and call our souls into a vaster air. On their summits they bear up the sleepless flame, dreaming of a mysterious beyond, transcendent of the paths of fate and time. They point above themselves with index peaks through a pale sapphire ether of God-mind towards some gold infinite's apocalypse. A thunder rolling mid the hills of God, tireless, severe is their tremendous voice. Exceeding us, to exceed ourselves they call, and bid us rise incessantly above. Far from our eager reach those summits live, too lofty for our mortal strength and height. Hardly in a dire ecstasy of toil climbed by the Spirit's naked athlete will. Austere, intolerant, they claim from us efforts too lasting for our mortal nerve, our hearts cannot cleave to, nor our flesh support. Only the eternal strength in us can dare to attempt the immense adventure of that climb and the sacrifice of all we cherish here. Our human knowledge is a candle burnt on a dim altar to a sun-vast truth. Man's virtue, a coarse-spun, ill-fitting dress, apparels wooden images of good. Passionate and blinded, bleeding, stained with mire, his energy stumbles towards a deathless force. An imperfection dogs our highest strength. Portions and pale reflections are our share. Happy the worlds that have not felt our fall, where will is one with truth and good with power. Impoverished not by earth mind's indigence, they keep God's natural breath of mightiness, his bare, spontaneous, swift intensities. There is his great, transparent mirror, self, and there his sovereign autarky of bliss, in which immortal natures have their part, heirs and co-sharers of divinity. He, this is King Asvapati, He, through the ideal's kingdoms, moved at will, accepted their beauty and their greatness bore, partook of the glories of their wonder fields, but passed, nor stayed beneath their splendor's rule. All there was an intense but partial light. In each a seraph-winged, high-browed idea united all knowledge by one master thought, persuaded all action to one golden sense, all powers subjected to a single power, and made a world where it could reign alone, an absolute idea's perfect home. Insignia of their victory and their faith, they offered to the traveller at their gates a quenchless flame or an unfading flower, emblem of a high kingdom's privilege, a glorious shining angel of the way, presented to the seeking of the soul the sweetness and the might of an idea, each deemed truth's intimate fount and summit force, the heart of the meaning of the universe, perfection's key, passport to paradise. Yet were there regions where these absolutes met and made a circle of bliss with married hands. Light stood embraced by light, fire wedded fire, but none in the other would his body lose to find his soul in the world's single soul, a multiplied rapture of infinity. Onward he passed to a diviner sphere. There, joined in a common greatness, light and bliss, all high and beautiful and desirable powers, forgetting their difference and their separate reign, become a single multitudinous whole. Above the parting of the roads of time, above the silence and its thousandfold word, in the immutable and inviolate truth, forever united and inseparable, the radiant children of eternity dwell on the wide spirit height where all are one. So you may have noticed that this shortish canto falls into several sections. So I will try to bring out these sections and show how they form a whole. The first page here, from the beginning to line 31, is a kind of introductory statement where he points out that for the thinker, always the ideal is beckoning from afar. There's always something higher. And the strong discoverer, tireless thought, aspires towards that ideal. And as it aspires, the thought reveals at each step a world of light. And it goes on higher and higher. That strong discoverer, tireless thought, it leaves behind the known summits, the highest points it has already reached, and looks high, even higher, for unknown peaks. It has a kind of passion in it, this tireless thought. What it is seeking for is the lone, unrealized truth. And the light of consciousness that is beyond death and birth. So Asvapati sees that in this realm of the ideal, each stage of the soul's remote ascent was built into a constant heaven. That heaven exists, it is permanent, it is felt, or it can be felt always. Each of these stages is like a step forward in the journey marvelous, and each step reveals a new degree of wonder and of bliss, a new rung, like a rung in a ladder, is being formed in this mighty stair of being, of existence. And though a rung may make us think of a ladder with a narrow step, these rungs are great, each of them is a great wide step, trembling with jeweled fire, as if a burning spirit quivered there, upholding with his flame the immortal hope. Each step is a living being, a spirit. And he says it's as if at each step a radiant God has given his soul to be mounted by the pilgrims. He's given his soul that he might feel the tread of pilgrim feet, mounting in haste, hurrying to reach the house of the eternal. At either end of each of these stairs, we are seen a series of heavens. The heavens of the ideal mind were seen, like strips of brilliant sky clinging to the moon. But the heavens on each side are different. On one side, glimmered, hue on floating hue, in a glory and surprise of the sea's soul, and a tremulous rapture of the heart's insight, and the spontaneous bliss that beauty gives, the lovely kingdoms of the deathless rose. It's a series of heavens, but the whole series, all these are different kingdoms of the deathless rose. On the other side are the kingdoms of the deathless flame. So these, the rose and the flame, obviously have a different contrasting symbolism. We can think that the rose is the symbol of beauty and love. And perhaps we can equate it with the psychic being. Whereas the deathless flame is obviously the symbol of the will, the aspiring will. At this, it says, above the spirit, which is encased in our mortal senses, our bodies, above those there are these superconscious realms of heavenly peace. And below where the stair starts, is the inconscious, sullen, dim abyss, sulking in the darkness. But between the superconscient and the inconscient are these realms arrayed behind our life, the deathless rose. It's climbing with us. It's climbing from nature's deep, surrendered heart, and that deathless rose is blossoming forever at the feet of God. And it's being fed and nourished by life's sacrificial mysteries. Sacrifice is the food of this deathless rose. And the poet says that here too, in our world, its bud is born in human breasts. That's what makes me think connected with our psychic being. When that bud is born in our hearts, then by a touch, a presence, or a voice, the world is turned into a temple ground, into a sacred place, and everything discloses, reveals the unknown beloved. He's seen and felt everywhere. In an outburst of heavenly joy and ease, life yields, surrenders to the divinity within. There's a special rose which Mother has given the name of surrender, with a very special, strong fragrance. So life surrenders to the divinity within and gives the rapture offering of its all, and the soul opens to felicity. When that happens, a bliss is felt that never can wholly cease. It does not fade away. In our lives, a sudden mystery of secret grace flowers, goldening our earth of red desire. Our earth is red and matches the strong, vital color of desire. But this opening turns it to gold. And then all the high gods in the universe who were hiding their faces from the soiled, passionate ritual of our hopes. We human beings always, when we pray, we are praying for things that we want. When that realization blooms, they reveal their names and their undying powers. And something happens to the body. A fiery stillness wakes in the slumbering cells of the body, a passion of the flesh becoming spirit, and marvelously is fulfilled at last the miracle for which our life was made. This is why we are born, and this is our mission in the world. When that happens, we see a flame in a white, voiceless cupola. This perhaps makes us think of our chamber in the Matrimandir, wide, silent. A cupola is curved roof. That flame in that white, voiceless cupola is seen, and faces of immortal light. And these wonderful beings, the radiant limbs that know not birth and death, the breasts that suckle the firstborn of the sun, the wings that crowd thought's ardent silences, the eyes that look into spiritual space. And then our hidden centers of celestial force, all the chakras, open like flowers to a heavenly atmosphere. There's a description of this happening to Savitri earlier in the poem. All the chakras opening and being transformed. Then mind pauses, thrilled with this supernal ray of light. And even the transient body, our transient bodies, then can feel ideal love and flawless, perfect happiness and laughter of the heart's sweetness and delight, set free from the rude and tragic hold of time. And the body can experience beauty and the rhythmic feet of the hours when the hours become a dance. So in the higher realms of existence, all these experiences touch immortal kind. Here these things are in the bud. There it has blossomed. There in the high realms is the secrecy of the house of flame, the blaze of godlike thought and golden bliss, the rapt idealism of heavenly sense. There are the wonderful voices, the sun laugh, a gurgling eddy of rivers in rivers of God's joy, and the mysteried vineyards of the gold moon wine, the soma of delight. All the fire and the sweetness of which we hardly feel of even a shadow. Those realms can see and witness the joys of time, but at the same time they feel the immortal's touch and they hear the flutings of the infinite. And here upon earth there are early awakenings to these experiences, moments that tremble in an air divine. And another beautiful picture, the picture of time's sunflowers turning always to the divine. A million lotuses swaying on one stem, all these million divine blossoms, are like these worlds, or the worlds are like, each of the worlds is like a lotus. World after colored and ecstatic world is climbing, mounting always higher towards some far unseen epiphany, a revelation that will come in the future. So there the kingdoms of the deathless rose come to an end, and the poet starts to describe the kingdoms on the other side, or the other end of the stairs. On the other side of the eternal stairs, the mighty kingdoms of the deathless flame aspired to reach the being's absolute, the flame of aspiration that's climbing up out of the sorrow and darkness of the world, out of the depths where life and thought are tombed, lonely mounts up to heaven the deathless flame of aspiration. It is burning forever on the altar mind, in a veiled nature's hallowed secrecies, the secret places. That's like a temple, and the priests of those temples of nature's hallowed secrecies are the souls of dedicated gods. But the house of sacrifice is humanity itself. Here in humanity, the sacrifice of will is carried out. Once kindled, never can its flamings cease. This flame of will. It's a fire along the mystic paths of earth. It's rising through our hemisphere, our lower hemisphere. And then he describes it almost like the Olympic flame. It's being born by runners of the day and the dark. That flame enters the higher light, the occult, eternal light, and goes on climbing, getting whiter and whiter, more and more pure as it rises to the invisible throne of the Supreme. Those worlds of the deathless flame, the flame of will, are steps levels, ascending levels of an ascending force, an increasing force. A dream of giant contours, Titan lines, homes of unfallen and illumined might, power, heavens of unchanging good, pure and unborn, and heights of the grandeur of truth's ageless ray. He describes those worlds as coming to our view as if in a symbol sky, and they're so high like the peaks of the Himalayas, they call our souls into a vaster air. And on the summits, they are supporting the sleepless flame, dreaming of a mysterious beyond, transcendent of the paths of fate and time. They point above themselves with index peaks. They are pointing to something through this pale sapphire ether or atmosphere of God mind towards some gold infinite's apocalypse, some great revelation of truth. So they are not soft and sweet like the deathless rose. Their voices are like a thunder rolling mid the hills of God. Tireless, severe is their tremendous voice. They go beyond us, and they call to us to go beyond ourselves, calling us to rise ceaselessly, more and more, higher and higher. But the poet says, those summits live far from our eager reach. They're too high for our mortal strength and height. Only the spirit can reach them, and even for the spirit it is challenging. Those heights are austere and intolerant. They claim from us efforts too lasting for our mortal nerve. Our hearts cannot cleave to, we can't accept them, nor our flesh support. Our bodies can't bear these efforts. Only the Eternal's strength in us can dare to attempt the immense adventure of that climb and the sacrifice of all we cherish here. And then he compares those austere heights with our little efforts. Our human knowledge is just like a little candle burnt on a dim altar to a sun-vast truth. That's what we are worshipping. Our virtue, our goodness, is just like a coarse cloth, badly spun, rough cloth, and ill-fitting. It doesn't fit us. And we use that cloth to clothe wooden images, our wooden, lifeless images of what is good. Man's virtue is like that. Man's virtue is passionate and blinded, bleeding, stained with mud. Human energy stumbles. It aspires towards that deathless force. But an imperfection is following behind even our highest strength. Like a faithful dog, it's always with us. Only portions, small parts, and pale reflections are our share. The poet says, happy are worlds that have not felt our fall. Those worlds, in those worlds, will is still united with truth, and good is united with power. Those worlds which haven't fallen do not suffer the same poverty as our earth mind. They keep God's natural breath of mightiness and his bare, spontaneous, swift intensities. There in those worlds, there's like a great transparent mirror reflecting the self, the Lord. And there is his rule, his sovereign autarky of bliss, the rule of bliss, in which immortal natures have their part. They are heirs and co-sharers of divinity. So there, Sri Aurobindo turns back to King Asvapati, and he says that he is able to move through all these kingdoms of the ideal at will, freely, as he wishes. He can accept their beauty, he has the strength to bear their greatness, he takes part in the glories of their wonder fields. But he doesn't stay there. He went on, moved on. He didn't stay beneath their splendor's rule, because he notices that everything there was, although it's so intense and brilliant and striking, it is partial. It's not something whole and integral and complete. In each of those worlds, one seraph-winged, high-browed idea united all knowledge by one master thought. So each of those worlds is ruled by one ideal only. Each of those powers made a world where it could reign alone, an absolute idea's perfect home. But as Asvapati moves through those worlds, the beings there offer him a gift. Each of them offers him as a sign of their victory or their faith. They offered to the traveller at their gates, either they offer one of those deathless flames, or they offer an unfading flower. That's the emblem of each of these kingdoms. And there at the door to the kingdom, there's a glorious shining angel of the way who presents this gift to the seeking of the soul, either the sweetness or the might of an idea. And each of those ideas is presented as truth's intimate fount, its heart, and its highest force, the heart of the meaning of the universe. Each is considered to be the key to perfection, the passport to paradise. It's this, that is why he doesn't stay there, because each of them is partial in what it can offer. But he goes on to say that there were regions where these absolute ideals met and joined together to make a circle of bliss, hand in hand. Light stood embraced by light, fire could marry fire, but none of them was willing to fuse and meld himself into another, to find his soul into the others, to find his soul in the world's single soul, a multiplied rapture of infinity. Are we stopping there? No? Onward he passed to a diviner sphere. There, joined in a common greatness, light and bliss, all high and beautiful and desirable powers, forgetting their difference and their separate reign, become a single multitudinous whole. Above the parting of the roads of time, above the silence and its thousandfold word, in the immutable and inviolate truth, forever united and inseparable, the radiant children of eternity dwell on the wide spirit height where all are one. We'll stop there for today. We'll show this next time. We'll show the painting next time. Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.